Nobody can touch me because I would get blacklisted for that.
The persona in the front that we put forward into the universe.
You'd be standing and
Hi, I'm Gabby. Because I will miss that aspect.
something else. Yeah. Like, bitch, we're friends. don't address me like that.
Well, you're people, you're not creatures. I'm so sorry. I don't care if you hate me.
No. Tissue paper.
I dated a lot of Sagittarius men, and that just was not working.
Girls love her, boys love her.
And those connections and ideas change.
And if we want to legalize marijuana or not, I don't know.
75% of podcasts don't make it past the first year. Well, hello guys. Welcome back to what would be season 3. Everybody has like questions and dismay. Jordan got a promotion at work. She's super thrilled and excited. It's going to be a little bit more of a workload, and she just feels at this time she can't handle the capacity of both. So I had the decision to either make to shut down podcast and just be done with it, or continue on my own. And when I was going through that like thought process and feelings on how I was going to handle that, it was funny because Kyle, my fiance, sent me a reel, and it was like most podcasts, like 75% of podcasts don't make it past the first year. And the ones that do are the only ones that become successful. So I just felt like consistency is key, and I am not ready to let this journey go. So I hope that you guys will continue to stick around, even though it's just me now. I will be having a lot of guests to kind of fill that space and that gap, so I have somebody to talk to. Be patient with me as I become more comfortable in front of the camera by myself and chatting with you solo. But I hope you guys will stick around because I have a lot of really good topics for the next 3 months before I take another break. So you will have July, August, and September, and then I will take a break in October, and then we'll resume in November. So I'm super excited. We are still doing a topic change every month. So I figured, why not start with something that I'm most familiar with, that was something that I felt like I could rock by myself and that a lot of people always have questions for me on. And if you've been following me on social media, you know that I am very into astrology. So I kind of want to walk you through my journey on how I got there, tell you some things about astrology that maybe you didn't know, and then maybe we can get into like talking about the different signs, and I can tell you a little bit more about yourself if you know your sign, or if you don't know your sign. Don't hesitate also after the podcast to reach out and ask me questions. I would love to answer them. This is something I'm so passionate about. So we're going to embark on this journey of astrology, and I actually am super pumped because I'm going to have some really fun guests. So yeah, let's just dive into it. So basically my journey with astrology really came from a place of where it started with tarot, actually. And for those that don't know what tarot is, tarot cards are basically a way of telling the future without having to be a psychic. So I do read tarot cards. I am not a psychic personally. I have no psychic abilities. I have a lot of friends that are, and surround myself with a lot of spiritual people that do have that capability. I will never say that I do. But what I love about tarot is really you pick cards and then I read them to you. And it kind of talks and dives into your future, what's going on in your life. And I just find it very intriguing. I've always loved reading cards. I started doing that actually. My mom's best friend, who I call my Aunt Lauren, she is very into astrology and that side of things. She has been charting my boyfriend since beyond time. She has charted everybody I've ever been with. She has birth charted me, which charting kind of explains based on where you were born, time, place, and it's time, place, and birth date kind of dictates who you are as a person. And my justification to people on why I believe in this is actually it's very scientific based, and people don't realize that. They think of it as witchy, they think of it as, kind of like hoaxy, so nobody really listens to like what it is. But essentially it's basically stating that based on where you were born, place, and time dictates who you are. And it's because of the planets and where the planets are in position, stars, all of those things, where those things sit on the time that you're born. The reason that I think that this is so valid is we're constantly told, and it is scientific, that our rotation axis and the planets dictate our tides, which is like our water systems. It dictates a lot of like our seasons, everything's like that. Like all of that planetary stuff is scientific, and we see that our tides are affected by the moon and all of those different things. Well, we are made up of what? It's like 98% water. I don't remember. Something in the 90s of water. So if the moon and the planets are able to control the oceans and the tides, and they're water-based, why wouldn't we be controlled by those planetary factors as well? So that's where my belief in it comes. There's a lot more we could dive into to that, but I'll basically leave that there. That's why I believe in it. So my Aunt Lauren has always been very into that, charting that. She read my tarot cards when I was about 16, and then she gifted me my first set of tarot cards, which in the tarot community, for like tarot cards to really work and to be able to be a tarot card reader, they do say that you need to be gifted your first set. It's not something you can go buy and have that power in it in itself. Preferably, you want to be gifted it by somebody who already does tarot as well. So if anybody wants to get into it and wants to learn about it, I'd be happy to gift you your first set. But gifting that set is what makes you able to do that. And then from there are meanings to each card. You can Google them, everything like that. But I also, through time and through a lot of reading since I was 16 years old, I have developed a connection to each card. And those connections and ideas change when they're next to other cards. So you've got this big deck and you have to memorize that deck for reading for people. But then on top of that, those card meanings change as you're reading. So it's just been a very fun learning process. I feel very comfortable with my set deck that I got from my Aunt Lauren years ago. And then I got a new deck recently for myself, and it's been an adjustment because the cards look different. It's a different vibe. It's a different feeling. So I'm developing those new feelings towards those cards. So that's been a really fun experience actually to grow from. But my tarot journey is what started my astrology journey. So I started to look more into astrology. I thought it was very unique. And I noticed throughout my life, like I would make tiny connections, like certain signs, like I would find people that I didn't get along with in this world. And all of a sudden I would learn, oh, well, they all have this in common. They're all this sign in, there's different placements. So it doesn't mean, I think a giant misconception, and we all have seen the memes and the jokes of, oh, like son says, mom, she asked like for my birth time, and the mom's like, run. I think that there's a lot of misconception there. Also, like, we don't like insert like zodiac sign here. Like, let's go. I'm an Aquarius. Let's say, well, I hate an Aquarius. There's so much more to it. So, like, there's definitely signs that I feel like I learned quickly that I don't jive with and stuff like that. But it really comes from where the placement is. So, I just want to start today by giving you a little basic overview of how placements work. So basically, we all have a zodiac sign, and most of us know that sign, and it's the date you were born. So I am February 7th. I'm an Aquarius. And so I know that that's my sun sign. But there's the big three. We're going to go over the big three today. You've got your sun, moon, and your rising. So with a sun sign, you actually, that's going to be your personality traits, who you are at your core. It describes you. Usually people relate to their horoscopes in their sun sign and everything like that. But honestly, it's a very tiny piece of who you are. So a lot of the times, if you don't relate to your sun sign, that's not abnormal. Then where we get into some cool things are like your moon. So your moon sign, it's also dictated. These are all things you can chart. You can go online and find these out, or you can contact somebody like me who helps you develop your birth chart, and we can go over all of the different pieces of you. But basically, your moon determines your emotions, how you react in emotional circumstances and everything like that. Moon is really, really important when it comes to your relationships. So for example, like if my moon wasn't compatible with my fiance Kyle's moon, we're not going to work together as a couple. I think the moon is the most important when it comes to getting along with family members, relationships, and very close and deep friendships. The next one that was really more correlating with the public, acquaintances, and like superficial friends would be your rising. So your rising is what you portray to new people. It's what you show out to the world. It's how you present yourself. So for me, I'll just kind of break down. I actually am an Aquarius sun, an Aquarius moon, and a Scorpio rising. So a lot of the times I get by other astrologers or things like that, I get misdiagnosed as a Scorpio because I put out that energy to new people that I meet. But at my core, my personality and then how I react emotionally to things is very Aquarius. Aquariuses are known to be very introspective. I much rather sit in a corner and have a deep conversation than do something superficial. We kind of are know-it-alls. I can talk about my flaws all day long, but we kind of tend to be on the know-it-all scale. We know what we want. We go after it. We're not afraid to tell people no. So that's kind of where the Aquarian lies. Where that Scorpio lies is Scorpio is known as like the most witchy of signs. They're a little bit more dark and moody. They're very altruistic. So it just kind of changes that. But those are all just the big three. When you go into a birth chart, you can break down so many things. It talks about where you fall financially at fault, where you fall with your drive and your ambition. We could go into like your Venus, which is like your sexuality and things like that. So there's just so many different ways to learn about you. So no one zodiac sign is what truly represents you. You can highly represent with your sun sign. So if you're a Capricorn, you're like, no, Gabby, I am a Capricorn to my core. It doesn't mean you aren't. But I do think that a lot of people don't realize that there's a ton of other things that go into it. And just like myself, you can have like your sun sign in other spots. So I have Aquarius in a lot of placements. So I do tend to act like a true Aquarius because I'm covering a lot of Aquarius. Whereas Kyle, for example, he's a Libra sun, but he has a lot of other little introspective things going on in his chart that makes him a little less Libra. I think I said Libra earlier. He's a Libra. So I just think that all of that and how it works together is very intricate. So my biggest tip to somebody that wants to learn more about themselves or learn about how they can communicate better in their relationships is the first thing is to find out your sun, moon, and rising. That's a great place to start. You can do most of your birth charts basically anywhere online, or if you'd like somebody to like fully break it down and go over it with you, you can do that as well. I know everybody has apps these days. I know everybody's favorite is CoStar because you can track and follow other people's as well close in your life. It's personally not my favorite. I am a big Sanctuary girl. If you download the Sanctuary app, it also lets you break down love compatibilities. You can talk to psychics and tarot readers on there. It's very unique. If you have any questions about it, like please feel free to ask. But that's kind of where I lie on the astrology spectrum is I've begun to like really look into what makes people tick and why, where their planets lie. Venus is the planet of like love and sex and things like that. So like a Venus is a really important one in relationships, but then you've got Mars, which is like your anger and your like more like heated feelings. So like that's great to also know. I think it's very interesting to learn. I have this really cool book that breaks down like working with a Leo partner, working with a Leo business partner or a Leo boss, working with a Leo mother. Like it can break down intricate little relationships and explain to you how to best operate those relationships. So just kind of like somebody goes to therapy to learn how to deal with others better. I think astrology is a great way to learn about how to communicate with others. So now that we've kind of talked about what that all is and what I do in that, I would love to kind of break down the different zodiac signs and kind of roast them. We're going to roast them. Why not? I hope nobody takes offense to any of these. I'm really excited to do it because it's my favorite thing. So first up in the zodiac sign, which would be, it's December 21st or 22nd. It's kind of like, and let's start here. I get this question a lot too. I really love when people come and tell me that they're a cusp baby and they'll say, oh, well, I'm on the cusp of, Scorpio and Capricorn. So I'm a cusp. You're not a cusp. You always fall. Your chart will always tell you exactly where you fall. Even if you're like on the day before, the day after, or the day of, your chart tells you exactly what you are. There's no such thing as a cusp. I hate when I see people talking about cusps online because I'm like, it's not real. You are truly in one or the other because your chart puts you there and it's based on your time and your place as well. So no such thing as cusps, but Capricorn starts December 21st, December 22nd area, and it goes until January 19th. So Capricorns are known to be very hard-headed, very stubborn, but they're also the most organized zodiac sign. They know how to get things done. They're efficient and they are go-getters. Sometimes a Capricorn, my little roast with them would be is that they're perfectionists. They really cannot complete tasks sometimes if it's not perfect. And I think that really holds the Capricorn back from being their best and most authentic self. So if you are a Capricorn, I guess maybe what I'll say at the end of each of these signs is like something you could work on is letting go of that perfectionism, manifesting that you're okay and comfortable with all of the work you do, no matter what, whether it's completed or not. So that's Capricorn. Aquarius is what I am. So this goes until about mid-February, I believe. But an Aquarius misconception. Let's do this little misconception about Aquarius. Aquarius is not a water sign. It is an air sign. So for those of you, I'm going to break down kind of exactly what that means. There's four elements. You've got fire, air, earth, and water. And all of the signs fall into those categories. So for example, a Capricorn is an earth sign. Earth signs are known to be grounded, very structured people, which is what a Capricorn is. Everybody assumes because Aquarius has aqua in it and because our symbol is the water bearer, people assume that it's a water sign. But Aquarius is actually the most misdiagnosed because it is an air sign. Air signs are very floaty. They're very dreamlike people. They're very go with the flow of like what the energy is, which is funny because my Scorpio fire fights that to the core. Sometimes I'm very not flighty, but air signs are supposed to be very fluid and flowy. And an Aquarius is an air sign. So that's where our creative thinking comes from. That's where our inspirational side comes from. And it's how we're able to be so unjudgmental. Aquariuses are known for like being so open-minded that you can put yourself into any situation, even if like it's not something you relate to. So Aquariuses are known for that. They're very progressive. They're very revolutionary. We're actually entering into the era of Aquarius where it's for the next, I can't remember exactly, so nobody quote me on this or come for me. I think it's the next 30 years. We are in a zone of Aquarian. So it's going to be very revolutionary. I do believe it has a lot to do with what's going on in our world right now of how we're seeing these mini revolutions coming up. I think those are only going to grow greater in this era of Aquarius. But this air sign is very just forward thinking. And I love that about myself, but sometimes it makes me put myself up on a high horse that I definitely could come down from. So we love to give advice. We love to be your little therapist, but sometimes we're faking it just to make it. And I feel like that's a flaw of an Aquarian. So take that in mind, the little air sign. Next up, we have Pisces. So Pisces is actually a water sign, and their symbol is the fish. The thing about Pisces, I personally love Pisces. Pisces get a bad rep because they are a water sign and they're known to be watery to the core. They are criers, they are emotional, but dang will a Pisces like go to bat for you. They absolutely love their people. I will say 4 of my best friends are Pisces, and I absolutely love them for being a Pisces. They are the most protective people, they're the most loving people, but they are very sensitive. I also love a Pisces as an Aquarius because a Pisces will always take your advice because they truly to heart care about what you think. Whereas a lot of times when I, as an Aquarius, try to give out advice, and when my friends don't take my advice, it upsets me. So I vibe really well with Pisces. I have had a lot of my friends talk about how they're very not interested in Pisces men. Pisces men tend to be a little bit more on the emotional side. But I've never had a problem with Pisces, so I don't have much bad to say about them except for they are criers. So if you're not ready to deal with a ton of emotion, maybe a Pisces isn't for you. But I absolutely love the Pisces. Next on our list is Aries. So that gets you into March, April, end of March and April. Aries is a fire sign, and they are fiery to the core. I don't have much experience with Aries, but I do respect their ability to do what they want. They are not going to let you stop them. They're going to take charge. They do tend to be hotheads, is their one fatal flaw. And I think that that has a lot to do with the fact that they're a little bit defensive. So if you kind of question their motive or what they're doing, they are going to fight back, and it can be a little exhausting. But here's a perfect scenario. If you're at a restaurant and somebody messes up your order and you're like more of a quiet sign or a quiet person and you're just going to like take the food and eat it even though they messed up your order, the Aries is going to stand up and be like, you messed up her order. They're going to fix the problem for you. If you're afraid of confrontation, that Aries is there for you. So we do love that Aries energy in that sense. Next up, we've got Taurus. So Taurus is another earth sign. Taurus is known, like their biggest trait that people know Taurus is for are their stubbornness. Very stubborn. So for a perfect example, Kyle's moon sign is a Taurus. So he tends to, in fights, be very stubborn. If he believes something, he's going to dig his heels in and he is going to say, no, this is how it is. That being said, Tauruses are natural caregivers. They want to take care of everybody around them. And they do view themselves as like kind of this figure of protection, which I really love. The Taurus, its symbol is the ram. And I don't know. It makes sense. They're tough and they're protective and they will fight off anything that gets in their way, but they're also very stubborn. My Anais has been on the podcast. I don't know if you guys remember her or if you need to go back a couple episodes, you need to listen to her episode. Anais has just had the most outrageous life and is so strong and intelligent and I don't know, just a beautiful soul. But she's a Taurus and I feel like nobody embodies Taurus more. Like not afraid to go to battle, very stubborn, but also like so motherly. Like she's a Taurus through and through, and she's so young too, and she still has that energy, which I think is so cool. Next we have Cancer, or sorry, we have Gemini after Cancer or before Cancer. So Gemini, actually, I have a mom that's a Gemini. I have a brother that's a Gemini. I have a couple friends that are Gemini. Shout out to Madeline who listens to the podcast. She is a Gemini. We are in Gemini season as I'm filming this. I'm filming this in early June. So we're in Gemini season right now. Geminis get a bad rep. Geminis are known as the twin sign and are usually the bad rep is that they're very two-faced. So the thing that I love about Gemini that Geminis like don't get recognized for is I don't think Geminis are two-faced. I think they're versatile. So Kyle's also a Gemini rising. And I really appreciate that in that rising position, that again is with strangers, with new people, with people that are not your best friends, your ability to morph to others' personalities. So I understand how people like come on and take that as fake. But for me, it's really great. So like if I have an event to go to and I get a +1 and I'm bringing Kyle, but I want to still be able to socialize and run around and talk, I have never had a problem leaving Kyle in a room and he can find somebody to talk to because he can morph to people's personalities. My mom is the same way. My mom has never made an enemy. And it's because it comes from a place of being able to just hide how you feel and be able to press on. And I do not think that's a bad trait. My mom is the most universally liked person in the world. She's never rubbed anybody the wrong way. And it's because she knows how to turn that on for herself. And as much as like somebody like an Aquarius, who I speak a truth in the sense that I don't care if you hate me, it's something I've always struggled with, admired, but also not understood because I'm at the point where in life I'm just like, oh, well, if you hate me, you hate me. I don't really care. Whereas my mom has just never had a bridge burn. And I really respect that. So Geminis have an innate ability to do that, but also their flaws that makes them very big people pleasers. So they're not always being their authentic self. So that could be a note on something to work on for a Gemini is to kind of just really focus inward on what you want and try and stop doing what others want. Just my tip of the day. Next, we have cancers. I have not always had the best experience with cancers. If you're a cancer listening, it does not mean I don't like you. I just don't understand you. They're very actually, they're very protective signs of like who they love and like who they want to take care of. The cancer symbol is the crab. It is a water sign. So they also tend to be very emotionally in tune with their feelings. They're very emotionally evolved creatures, but creatures, people, you're not creatures. I'm so sorry. Um, but I will say that the flaw with that is that you're so emotionally aware that sometimes your emotional side can be manipulative to others. So in my personal experience, I've experienced a lot of cancers that know how to kind of therapy talk their way into getting what they want or kind of manipulate in a sense and make others feel like they are higher than them. A cancer loves to be the center of attention and be the top dog in the room and the smartest one in the room. And even if they aren't, they'll make sure that they put themselves in that position, which gives them a lot of opportunities. And a lot of people do look up to it. I personally have struggled in my past with cancers because I don't like to be manipulated as a very straightforward person, but I do admire their ability, especially in business, to push forward. So that's kind of a cancer sign. I honestly would love to sit down and have a cancer on the podcast and like just kind of go at it and see how it goes. If you're a cancer, hit me up. Next after cancer is technically it's a Leo. Yes, it's a Leo. I'm working on my order. So Leos, I absolutely love a Leo. Leos get a bad rep as well. They love to be the center of attention. They are spunky, they are fun, they are fiery, they are a fire sign. They're the lion symbol and they know how to party. A Leo is fun. I enjoy going out with Leos. I enjoy spending like time with Leos and just enjoying my space with Leos. I've never had a dull moment with a Leo. Some people don't preferably get along with them because they do like to be the center of attention. So if it's another fire sign, you guys kind of compete for energy. But I love a Leo. Leos and Sagittarius tend to not get along very well because they have very similar energy. But I absolutely love a Leo. So I don't really have anything bad to say about Leo. Next, we have Virgo. Virgo is one of the signs that I have the least connections with. So I don't know many people that are Virgo, so I haven't had personal experience with Virgos, but I can basically tell you a little bit about a Virgo just from like what I know. They're very intelligent people. They're very practical. They're perfectionists. They also resemble a lot like the Capricorn. So like that Capricorn energy of always needing to be right and perfect, that is very Virgo. They're very grounded. They're an earth sign. So again, that grounding sense of themselves. They're also ruled by Mercury, which Mercury tends to be like very level-headed, precision, precise on everything that they do. They're very analytical, but they're also very helpful people. So they want to help you get things done. If you need a favor done, ask a Virgo. They'll make sure it gets done and it gets done perfectly. So that's kind of Virgo energy. I believe after Virgo, we enter into Libra territory. I just want to make sure I'm not missing a sign. I think it's Libra. So I have a lot of experience with Libras. Kyle is a Libra. My best friend is a Libra. One of my best friends is a Libra. Got Pisces and Libra on both sides. Libras are all about justice. They are known as the balance in the scale. They want justice. They tend to see things in black and white, especially in their moon sign area. Like if they believe strongly that this is morally just, they don't see any other way. That sometimes tends to be a challenge for me as an Aquarius, but I do respect our differences in that sense. Libras are the kindest and most caring people. They will always take care of you. They're sweet, and they are actually the most romantic sign in the zodiac. They're very romantic people. They want the romance, they want the love. They don't just want frivolous. They'll never be the hookup type or just sex. They want passion and love and romance. And I love that because that is very not me. So it's kind of like a nice counterbalance, but love a Libra. Love a Libra. After Libra, we have Sagittarius. Sagittarius, I do have quite a few Sagittarius friends too. I remember in my younger years, I did not get along with Sagittarius, especially I dated a lot of Sagittarius men, and that just was not working. And then the Sagittarius females that I was hanging out with, I felt like they were very flighty. Sagittarius are the first to be like, if I don't want to do that, they're not doing it. They don't care if you want them to do it. Like they are not selfish, but they know how to say no like no other sign. They're in charge of themselves. They're like, nope, I don't need that. I don't want to do that. And sometimes it can be frustrating when you want to do something with them. If it's not something that they're interested in, they don't want to do it. That being said, they're the most spontaneous. As I've aged and I've learned that it's okay for others to like not want to do everything you want to do. Once I understood that, Sagittarius world opened up to me, and I have so many Sagittarius friends I love. They're down for a good time all the time. They're spontaneous. I could call my Sagittarius friends and be like, "Hey, I want to go on a trip this weekend," and they're like, "Let me pack my bag." They're ready to go. They're committed to like the spontaneity, but they get easily bored. So a lot of the times you'll see a lot of your Sagittarius friends, they want to move a lot. They tend to get bored in relationships very quickly. It would be helpful to ground them, find a grounding place for them. But basically, I love a Sagittarius now. It took me years to get there, but we're there now. Sorry. I actually skipped swap. Sagittarius is at the end of the zodiac and connects with Cancer. And Scorpio is right before that. So Scorpio is very much your November, October spooky season, which is so fitting for a Scorpio. Scorpios are most likely actually to be very sensitive to spirit. They're most likely to be the psychics. They're most likely to be the readers. Scorpios are just very in touch with their selves and the outer world. They're very kind of like Aquarius. So it's great that like I have that Aquarian and Scorpio. They pair really well together. It just gives witch energy. Like a Scorpio is the type of person that I feel like is casting spells. Not that I know how to cast spells, but I feel like that's the energy they give off. They do tend though to like once you've burned a Scorpio, you're dead to them. Like they tend to be cutoff queens, which is a trait that I don't absolutely love about myself. I do tend to fall into that category where like once you've hurt my feelings, I am unlike a Pisces. A Pisces will give you a billion chances, which isn't good either. But a Scorpio is like, you wronged me, you're done, goodbye. So that's something I have struggled with my entire life and I work on to this day, but that's kind of what Scorpio does. So that is the complete zodiac. There are 12 signs, like I said, fire, air, water, and earth. And then they all have a symbol and they all have different meanings. So I implore you, your homework for today or this week before the next episode is to dive into what your zodiac sign is. Send me questions you have. I will be doing at the end of this month, I will be doing a Q&A on zodiacs. So if you have specific questions, if you want to know about compatibility with certain partners, feel free to send those over to me. I feel like it'd be really interesting to dive into some combos and like love combos from people. Maybe even like I'll put up an anonymous poll. So like I'm telling you the honest truth and not like sugarcoating it for your relationship. I would love to dive into that. Some things to look forward to this month. we'll have 2 different guests on here. I'm really excited to explore those different guests with you. The first being Kyle for next week. I really would love to incorporate Kyle and our relationship more onto the podcast now that it's just myself. I feel like Kyle has a lot of like unique perspectives to offer. He can call me out on my bullshit just like Jordan did, because I will miss that aspect. And he'll be able to kind of deep dive into like why I am the way I am, and I can explain some more about his relationship. I do believe that this is not the end of Jordan and I's journey together. I think you will be seeing her on some episodes. It will just be a little bit fewer and far in between. But yeah, I'm super excited to start this journey on my own with you guys. I hope you will stick around. I don't know where this is going to evolve to, but I'm like really excited for that piece of it. I'm excited to kind of have some new creative ideas that I feel like I'm super passionate about. And anything you guys want to hear, please don't hesitate to just like drop a comment below if you're on YouTube here, or shoot me a DM. My DMs are always open, but I'm super excited to hear about what you guys are wanting to hear and what you absolutely loved. And I'm super passionate about this month. So stay tuned for more astrology stuff, and we will talk soon. Bye.